Everyone who's training hard inevitably ends up with a joint injury, which is unfortunate because training is supposed to keep us healthier, not hurt us. The most common reason for injuries is because we don't use our joints in diverse enough ways. We do the same exercises in the same way over and over, making certain muscle groups very strong while leaving others lagging far behind. And if you don't use the full capacity of your joints, you'll lose it. So let's talk about some of the best bang for your buck exercises you should be doing at least weekly to ensure your joints stay healthy, so you can keep crushing your training injury-free. And as an added benefit, sometimes the right supplementary exercise can actually improve your overall performance drastically. Let's get to it.
The hips are ball and socket joints that are capable of moving in so many directions. But when we hit the gym, we usually just move in one. Some sports and hobbies get us moving our hips in a lot of different planes of motion. But if you're mostly just hitting the gym, this one we find very important for the health of the hips. And side note, if the hips aren't working properly, sometimes this puts extra stress on the low back or the knees. The active 90-90 switch allows us to work on the sides and rotator muscles of the hips all at once. We've shown variations of the 90-90 switch before, but today we're gonna take it an extra step further. Start by sitting down on the ground, one leg in front and one leg behind you. We wanna get those knees to about 90 degrees, and that puts us in our 90-90 position. For a lot of people, just getting in this position is a bit of a challenge. If this is you, stack a pillow or some type of pad underneath your hips. We'll begin by placing the hands down behind us and just switching our knees back and forth, trying to keep the legs as far apart as possible. Feel each hip rotate into external rotation and then into internal rotation, doing the opposite pattern. Now to take it a step further and do the full active 90-90 switch, we do the same movement, but we keep our feet hovering just a bit off the ground for as much of the movement as you can. Naturally, you'll need to lean back more and use your hands for support, but over time you'll notice that you're able to sit further up, you'll feel stronger through the hips, and eventually even ditch the hands altogether. So we recommend doing this for 60 to 90 seconds, and for extra credit, you can combine these with Cossack squats to get your hips feeling really loose.
Long hours of work wrecks our shoulders and posture. Then when you get off, you go to the gym to do your upper body workout, and it's a recipe for disaster. The wall slide is one exercise that gets all the muscles that shut off while you were at work back online and shifts the tension away from the muscles that get chronically tight, like the pecs, the neck, and the traps. I really like to have people use a foam roller for this exercise because then you can lean into the wall. But if you don't have one, no worries, you're gonna just do this straight on a wall. Start with your hands at about eye level and shoulder width apart, pressing or leaning into the wall so that if the wall disappeared, you'd fall flat on your face. Now we'll push the shoulder blades apart and down while pulling your rib cage in, imagining you're making your back nice and wide. Now tuck your chin and make the back of your neck as long as possible. Trying to keep the hands as far apart from each other as you can, you'll start to move your arms above your head. It doesn't take much movement here to start feeling how challenging it is to actually keep your hands apart. And if this feels easy for you, you can always add a resistance band around your wrists. I prefer to not count reps for this one, just put on a timer for 60 seconds, move slow and controlled, and of course, don't forget to breathe.
When it comes to the core, most people underestimate how important strong hip flexors are. Optimally, our hip flexors and core muscles can work together for proper movement. The hanging leg raise allows us to train that while also getting a great hanging stimulus for the shoulders. This exercise has a lot of room for progression, so let's start with the most basic and work our way up. One of the keys to using this movement effectively is keeping some sort of posterior pelvic tilt. If you're letting your lower back arch excessively, this movement becomes counterproductive. So just don't do it that way. So be sure to follow these cues. And that's why we start with a basic hang in a hollow body position. Let yourself naturally hang from your bar, rings, or something overhead. Squeeze your core muscles, pull the belly button in, and tuck the tailbone under. This is posterior tilt of the pelvis. Now try to hold this position for about 45 seconds. Once you can do this, we can move to the hanging tuck. From your hollow body hang, move the knees up tucking them towards the chest. Next, we can try raising in the tuck position, then straightening your legs and lowering slowly under control. The next level up is lifting up with straight legs through the entire movement. Finally, once you've developed the proper amount of strength in your hip flexors and your core, you can start trying to get your toes close to the bar. This is one that you can cheat and use momentum. So for best results, keep it slow and controlled. You want to be able to do 8 solid reps before you move on to the next progression.
Natural movements like running, swimming, and climbing involve lots of spine movement, especially rotation. And yet in the gym, we're usually bracing against movement of the spine. So at some point, we need to give the spine what it wants. The one-arm crab is perfect because it gets us to actively rotate our spine while simultaneously getting us to fire up the whole backside of the body, like the glutes, the rotator cuff, and the spine erectors. Start by sitting on your butt and place one hand behind you, fingers facing backwards. Push your shoulder away from your ears to lift your butt up off the ground. Now, bridge your hips up and reach your other hand straight up to the ceiling. Try as hard as you can to keep your hips facing the ceiling, because as you lift, your hips will want to spin with your shoulders to prevent too much spine rotation, but that's actually what we're after. Try to keep your shoulder stacked over your hand, because that's what will get the backside of your shoulder to work really hard to support your weight. And as you gain more range of motion here, you can start to lay your head backwards, exaggerating the spine movement. Do this for 6 reps, holding at the top position for at least 1 full inhale and exhale.
These exercises can plug into your weekly routine wherever fits best for you. Doing them before a workout can help you warm up. Doing them on your off days can be a great stimulus for the body, or pop them in right at the end of your workout. Do each exercise for about 3 sets for max benefits. The key to seeing results is to be able to train consistently for a long period of time. And to do that, got to keep those joints happy. It's not super complicated, and these are just a few that we really like. Are there any other exercises that you're doing for joint prep? Comment below, let everyone know. Like this video, subscribe to Strength Side. We'll see you in the next one.